Okay. Hi, Anna.
Hey, Tar.
How are you today?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm excellent because I've got you on the show today. Let's just cut to the chase because I know both of our time is short today. This is Anna David, ladies and gentlemen. She's a New York Times bestselling author. She's the author of 8 different books. She's a TEDx speaker. And this is how I met her. She's the founder of Legacy Launchpad Publishing, which publishes books for entrepreneurs and thought leaders. And there you have it. Ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, Anna David.
And you forgot to mention Anna David does run a group that you were a part of, and I'm just going to say abandoned and are missed.
I feel like you're shaming me right now.
But it's really just to woo you back to the inner circle. But
See, that's
not going to work.
No, it'll work. I'll be back. It's just the truth is, that's when I write. Was when we were getting together, and I'm like, this is fucking. How do I? It's just not happening. So I miss you guys. I do.
Yeah.
It's a great group. She has a group called the Inner Circle, and if you're fortunate enough, I really recommend. If you've got a book in you or you've been thinking about a book, a group can really be helpful to get you past that hump, kind of get you out of your own way. And Anna's, she's got a great little group there. And she comes in and does the most important thing that most authors forget, which is to market your book to your audience.
Yeah.
And that right there scares most people. Why does it scare them?
Well, I think there is this concept of the artist who just shows up, the muse overtakes them, and then just people magically find their book. I think we're all delusional. Anyone who writes is delusional. We vacillate between this is going to change the world. Like, I think I'm a genius. And like, who do I think I am putting this on paper? No one's going to care. Um, and the truth is, millions of books are being released every day. It's probably not right. Every week, every month, a lot of books are coming out.
Bernie.
Yeah, you see my kitty.
I
Okay.
do. Let's just stop everything because he is magnificent. What kind of a kitty is he?
He's a Persian, exotic short hair. That made my day that you knew his name.
See, I'm half Persian.
There you go. But I mean, it could be we got him from a Persian family, so he's full like two doctors, a Persian couple bred this perfect creature.
bless your heart. Do you speak Farsi?
Bernie, I'm
sure Bernie speaks Farsi.
I bet he does. He's actually become a total brat, but he's so beautiful. And what are you gonna do? You know?
You're right though. We're distracted because listen, animals are beautiful and Bernie's half Persian, and I am biased. So,
Of course.
So I agree with you. We're delusional, and everybody thinks the book's going to change the world.
And that it's sort of beneath us to worry about something as crass as marketing. Marketing is for those publicity hungry salespeople or something like that, dumb influencers. Well, the truth is, if you want to write a book that people read, you've got to market it. You've got to find your audience, and it's so much work. I would say I certainly put more work into that than I do into writing, and I don't think anyone wants to hear that.
Well, you're right. I think, would you agree that that's fear really underneath that? It's crass to market and sell.
I think it's fear. I also think it's not laziness so much as we only have limited resources when it comes to time. And I'm a big believer in this, like, you want something done, ask a busy person. The more that I have to do, the more I get done. And I think that people go, well, I don't have time to write and do that. Well, so how can you maximize the time you have? Maybe you can make what you're writing into Instagram posts. I do that. Maybe you can take your podcast that you're already doing and make it into a book. It doesn't have to be this torturous other thing you do, but I do know that your book will, if you're an author, your book will be more successful if you are spending your time marketing it and finding your audience.
How did you learn that lesson?
Well, naturally very self-obsessed, which helps a lot. I am not afraid
Very
to
what?
self-obsessed. I've never been unclear about that. So I
Okay.
know that I find myself endlessly fascinating. And so I have the audacity to believe that other people will too. And it is audacity. And some people agree that I'm fascinating. Most don't know who I am. Probably some who know who I am do not think I'm fascinating. But so I had that intrinsically in me, this desire to share me. And so I didn't have that hurdle. However, I had this experience, the same self-consciousness that anybody does. Every time I put something out there, it's weird. I don't have fear when I put a book out there. I don't have fear when I put an article out there. Weirdly, I have more fear around things like Instagram posts. I'm just like, I'm going to be judged and this and that. And then I try to remind myself it's not about me. It's about, I try to create work that helps people. And so it's really about the people it can help and not about me, you know?
So interesting. All right. You are hilarious.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I need a drink of water because that was a very dry joke you just did.
I mean, from
Self-obsessed.
the master of dry, I appreciate it. Dar, the master of dry.
Thank you very much. You said without a hitch in your giddy up, as they say, I'm self-obsessed and I'm very clear about that, and soldiered on with the rest of your.
But it's also true.
No, I listen. First of all, I adore you, whether you realize that or not. I marvel at your energy level and your capacity to go. And as you just said, you are a person that when you have more to do, you get more done. And that can be a daunting task for a lot of people. And I'm sure you're very helpful with those authors that you work with Legacy Publishing and Launchpad Publishing.
Legacy Launchpad.
Legacy Launchpad. That's what I
Yeah.
said. I don't know what you thought I said.
I
Get
need
it.
my water. I need my water for your dryness. Wait, hold on. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. I lost my headphones. This is so unprofessional.
Don't even worry.
But yes, I will say that I tend to be quite judgmental and cynical. And
Your
think,
honesty is refreshing.
I'm very honest. I'm very honest.
Okay.
But I think that I have judged a lot of people as, oh, you're just a dreamer. You're just going to sit there and write forever and you're never going to put it out there. The inner circle, when I actually stop to think about what they have done, it's like 7 books. And I know I have had an impact on that, whether it's some of them we've actually published, and some of them I've just guided them. But, I'm really watching people go from this is something they want to do, but who am I to write a book, to best-selling author. And that's insane. It's amazing.
It is. It is. It's a very powerful, transformative, magical thing. And I've said this. I told Anna a million times. I repeat it constantly. And life is art, and art is life. That's the tagline here. Neither are linear mediums. And so interesting. You say that you find yourself fascinating. You believe that others will find you fascinating, which is a great belief to have. I do find you fascinating. At the same time, on the other side of that, you're talking about how you're very judgmental and critical of people. How does that work out? Because I can hear between the lines that you have done a lot of self-reflection. And so, yeah.
I think they go very well together. I think that I do. I think that my natural instincts are very I'm superior or something. And so it's only when I stop to go, wait a minute, everybody sort of got their things they're good at and their things they're not. And I don't know what people are capable of. I have seen people who looked incapable of changing or doing anything do magnificent things. And so And so, but I do think I'm intrinsically very judgmental. I, work a program of recovery. So I pray every morning. And what I pray about are my defects. I know that I have them. So I pray to not act on them. And they are punishing, jealous, insecure, extreme, and impatient. Judgmental, I'll be totally honest, used to be on the list. And then I decided I have a lot of fun with my judgment. So I don't want help getting rid of that yet. Because I feel like I'm really funny when I judge. And I have friends that I have a lot of fun judging with.
Do you tend to be a little sarcastic or cynical?
I think so. I mean, I don't think of myself like that, but I do think it's kind of this like inherent humor. I find things really funny. I find things about people that are not supposed to be funny. And I think it just happens really fast. And I think obviously I know there's humor in saying things you're not supposed to say. Like I get that you're not supposed to be like, I'm self-obsessed and stuff like that. And so I know that there's humor in that, but I don't even really think about it, you know?
Feel free to let Bernie walk in at any time. Honestly, I could care less. I think it's fantastic. It
I
just
know
adds to the Anna David experience.
he can't be controlled though.
I
So
understand. It's okay. Bless his heart. He's only here for a minute, like all of us. They're here for
true.
you in a shorter period of time.
Yeah.
We lost our sweet little boy last year, almost exactly a year ago. And yeah, I wish I had those days back. So, you're describing these things as a defect. And, I won't call it a defect because no matter how thin you slice anything, there's the flip side to it, right? So you
Mm.
can't have good without bad. You can't have criticism without acceptance. You can't have judgment without self-reflection, et cetera, et cetera. And, I hear and see a woman who's passionate
Mhm.
about what she does and also has a passion for life. And those are some of this is my experience because I have everything you say in spades. My thing is I've kind of learned to accept it, or as you've said, surrender to it. Others have said it too. I don't put you on the spot for it.
Mhm.
But, and I find that it kind of matures and seasons into something that's more beneficial. So I kind of got out of my own way with that. Have you found that to be true for yourself, or am I just talking out of the side of my head?
Well, no, I mean, I'm sure it's true for you. It's not true for me. There's nothing about my say tendency to punish that morphs into something good. Um, it
Really? Are you sure about that?
pretty sure.
So let me present you with something. Your loved one is in harm's way, danger's way, death's way. Would not your ability to punish be an effective tool to somehow subvert that?
Well,
Potentially?
yes, but I think that that's true of every human being. Like, I think, you know what I mean? I think my punishing is I get, I noticed it this morning. I can get real worked up about frustrating things that are genuinely frustrating.
Have you been
I
in my head all day?
However, like these are frustrating things. I have someone who is a team member who we invested a lot in, who's not doing a good job, screwing things up for me with clients. That's a big problem. I have a client who we overcharged, and so then I refunded a lot of money. He never got it. The wire didn't go through. So like these things are piling up. I have a friend, whatever. I'm doing a book with him and it's all published, and suddenly he's like, I don't like that photo, can we change it? And I said no, and he said you have to. So it's like these three things happen, and I can feel my body flooded with anger, adrenaline, and then I'm just like, what's the point? Frustrating things happen every day, and I will actually force myself to smile, to just go, oh my god, this doesn't matter. It
Good
doesn't
for you.
matter.
Wow. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, I knew you had that in you. Yeah, honesty is refreshing. I love it. You really have spent a lot of time looking inward to find out, what makes me tick. I think it's kind of important, but most people tend to just turn tail and run from it.
Yeah,
Cannot run your shadow, man. Cannot run it. It's always behind you. It's always there.
yeah, I don't know any other way, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, I do, and that way didn't really work for me. I didn't have an issue with alcohol or drugs too badly. I did like to smoke a lot of pot, but I did get crazy with booze and stuff like that, and that's just not anything I'm interested in doing
Hmm.
anymore. And of course, we've talked about this. I zigged when I should have zagged and got caught up in a cult, um, which I don't recommend anybody do. But yeah, so. I don't even remember how I found out about you. I truly don't. Um, and I noticed that you started the publishing company in 2017, if I remember right.
Yeah.
What precipitated that for you? Because that's a fairly big step to go from author to like, I'm going to become a publisher.
It was very accidental. I mean, I had really been struggling to find something to do that could make me a living because being an author
Reach.
did for 10 years and then publishing changed and it stopped. And I tried a lot of things. It felt like a lot of things. I tried a lot of things that I was capable of because I don't have a lot of skills or interests. So it was like I tried creating websites. I tried creating courses on writing. I tried all these things and they didn't work. At the same time, people were coming to me and saying, "Hey, could you write my book?" Because I had this New York Times bestseller. So that I wrote for someone else. So people kept asking me that. And I always said no. And then somebody asked me who was really insistent. And I continued to say no. And then then at the same day, literally um, somebody I knew who was a writer asked me if I had any work for her. And I said to the guy asking me, well, what if I hired my friend to write it and I edited it? And he said, as long as you're involved, I'm in. So she interviewed him, she wrote the book. Um, I edited it. I go, here you go. And he's like, cool, now we got to publish it. And I'm like, well, that's not my problem. And he said, well, how about I pay you to figure it out? And I figured it out. And so I saw him take this book. He's a real hustler. And he got on all these podcasts and he started the speaking career and he's getting spokesperson deals and all of these things. So I'm like, wow, you
Is that
don't
the guy
have
who's
to.
the agent?
Yeah, Darren Prince. Yeah, I was like, you don't have to do a traditionally published book, or I don't know how many books he sold, but you don't have to sell tens of thousands of books to have this book make a big difference in your career. And then someone else came along, someone heard me on a podcast, asked me, and so I remember sitting with a friend who's so smart, and I'm telling him, well, I'm doing this writing program, I'm coaching writers, and they complain that it's too expensive because it's 500 a month, and they say that I'm not good at, they think I'm don't provide value. There was one person, a horrible woman, who was like, you're terrible, blah, blah. And then at the same time, I have these incredibly successful entrepreneurs that are coming to me and asking me to write books, and he's like, why don't you try to start serving those incredibly grateful and successful people instead of the ungrateful and not successful people? And so I pretty much, that's how it started. I sort of was like, okay, I started an LLC, I brought in more writers, and then that's how it started.
So just because you'd gotten which book had been the bestseller?
It's called By Some Miracle I Made It Out of There, and it's a book that I wrote for this actor named Tom Sizemore. And so because he didn't write a word or even read it, and I was at WME at the time, so my name is like on the title, on the cover, which never happens, but it happened. And it was a very horrible experience in every way imaginable.
Shocking. I can't imagine how that could have happened.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really put myself in a dangerous situation.
Oh, I'm quite certain. God
Yeah.
bless you, Tom. I hope you're doing well, but that's funny.
Do you know him?
So based on that, your friends came up and said, yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine what that must have been like.
Oh, Jesus.
Look at the
Um,
look on your face. I'm so sorry. Uh, So they came up and just started asking you, hey, can you write this book for me? Can you help me with it?
Yeah, not strangers, like friend. I mean, sorry, not friends, strangers.
That's
Um,
crazy.
Not like it's not like I was flooded. It's like a
No,
couple
of course.
people asked, and
That's a big deal.
and but doing that book literally almost killed me. And so I decided I would never write another book for someone else, even though any other person I wrote a book for would be easier than him. But so yeah, and then I started to talk about this. I'm a publisher, and then more people came in, and I have a mentor, and he really made a huge difference because he introduced me to his community, and a bunch of them hired me. And it's, never stopped. We never advertise. It's just a constant stream of people um asking us. And
I've
it's
seen that. Yeah, I've
yeah.
noticed. That's why I'm asking. I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt you because you're in your flow, but it's kind of remarkable that you start this and it just takes off. Um,
I mean, I will say I'm in a very good, and I have a ton of competitors. This is a thriving industry right now. If you are listening, you should be doing about the reason we're so busy is we're awesome, of course, but this is a service a lot of people understand will transform their careers. A lot of entrepreneurs get that.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen it happen firsthand. I was a part of it, firsthand, and so I know that. I love to read. I love books. One of my brothers said something to me, I don't know, 25 years ago. Uh, we were just, it was just an offhanded remark. I was like, God, you buy a lot of clothes. He goes, well, you buy a lot of books. It's like,
You felt pretty good about yourself, didn't you?
I, truthfully, I didn't. It was something I'd never paid attention.
Even when he said that?
Yeah, no, I did, that's not what I never hung my
Yeah.
hat on that. Yeah. I never had a desire to be an author, but here I am on the middle of it.
Yeah.
And it's, it's going well. We'll see what happens. I know what's going to happen, what can happen for it. Um, it's the marketing part, that's the thing that I have to start doing. And I don't enjoy spending my time on social media, like, hey, look, I'm writing a book of this, that, and the other thing. No disparagement. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not my thing. So I have to figure out other ways to go about doing it. And I have, and I'll continue to do that.
I mean, because you're like a known entity. You have a huge
You're
head start.
sort of, yeah, sort of. And I'm going to have a big, I think it'll be a big boost. There's going to be a documentary. It's based around my friend's life, but we were in this cult together, and I don't know how it's going to end up in the finished product. I don't know what the finished product's going to look like, but I'll be featured in it.
Yeah.
But prominently or it's minimally, I don't know. Uh, but
Okay.
that'll be helpful.
Let me tell you my epiphany that may change your whole
Talk to
attitude
me,
about
sister.
this.
Talk to me.
I had this epiphany, because I feel like I'm on this treadmill of like, okay, every Monday I post a writing tip, and I got to post it here, and I got to put, and then the podcast. And then I thought,
I get it.
wow, we are so lucky. We are all our own radio station, TV station, magazine. All these years I spent trying to submit things to magazine, I'm my own.
Good.
What a glorious gift that is. And so to look at it like that, rather than, oh, I don't like posting on social media. Well, none of us really like it, but it is a means to get yourself out there.
How do you not love her? Right? How do you not love Anna? She's
Are you,
great.
you're talking to our people?
I'm talking to the audience. Yeah, I broke the fourth wall. I do it all the time. I give
Hi,
zero
guys.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Drink of water. That was so dry for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right. That is amazing. And the advent of the interwebs and social media have made it not necessary to have a publisher, although you'd be really well served by Legacy Launchpad Publishing
True.
and
True.
Anna David and her team.
Obviously.
You don't need a publisher. You don't need a PR person. You don't need a radio station. You don't need anything. You can do it on your own. Yes, it'll be a little bit of a tougher slog, but the cool part of it is, as Miss David just alluded to, is that you will well, she did indirectly. You'll create your own. Is it niche or niche? I don't know.
I like saying the riches are in the niches because, every now and then I'll bust out with a cliche. So I'll take niche.
okay, you say niche, I'll say niche today. I don't know why, just to make it interesting. Meaning that you're going to create your own audience. You don't need, everyone's like, I want to serve everybody in the whole world. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. Unless you're selling air or water, good luck to you. You just got to stay in one little narrow vein and just, drill deep in that vein and be as much of a servant to that as you can be. And
Yeah.
that's, you can do really well and have a nice life doing something like that.
Speaking of, you had Kevin Kelly on the show.
He's great. I really like Kevin.
How'd you
Um,
get him? You
uh,
know him?
I thought I knew Kevin. Kevin was in Iran in 70. I guess he wasn't. He was there after I left. I was born in Iran, raised mostly in the States, and we went back to Iran when I was about 10. It was like 74. Um, anyway, I thought Kevin and I had met in Iran. I was like, dude, I think we knew each other. You were in Tehran at the Tehran American School, blah, blah. He's like, no, that wasn't me. I'm like, are you sure? Isn't that it? Anyway, he's a nice guy. We connected and he said, hey, listen, anytime you want to come by, you're up in San Francisco, come, you and your wife come by and visit the house. Very generous of you. And then COVID came along and the shutdown came along. And we're still in a pandemic, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. We're still in a pandemic. Be safe. Then he put together this book called Vanishing Asia, which he's been working on for 40 years. He's been taking photographs of the entirety of the continent of Asia. Unbelievable. It's 3 volumes, but it's one work, but it's 3 volumes.
Yeah.
And he says if you sat down and went through it, it would take you 3 hours, I believe, just to get through turning every single page. And so he reached out. He's like, hey, man, I'm doing this. I'd love to do your podcast. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah, absolutely. And just a great guy and very smart. And the thing that I love about Kevin is he thinks outside of the box. He does not allow conventional wisdom or the zeitgeist of the culture to, draw in the frame that he has to be in.
Yeah.
Like, no, man, look just past the frame there.
Yeah.
That's what makes Kevin so interesting and such a maverick,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's the one. His 1,000 True Fans is what introduced me to that idea entirely.
Yeah. A lot of people really glommed onto it, really, really found, could sink their teeth into that idea. And some people in the tech world pushed back and said that's not true. Man, whether it is or whether it isn't, the genesis, the foundation of that idea is really true. Whether it's 1,000, whether it's 100, whether it's 10,000, who cares, right? The point is, like, look at what's the group? Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
That's Iron Maiden's, like, they started out with a fan base, like a very small fan base.
Yeah.
And they just kept feeding that fan base. And then they just created all this stuff outside of just the albums and the merchandise.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing is, what it doesn't take into account is how hard it is to get true fans. Based on my experience, I have one. She will fly out because the way he defines it, she flew to a party. I had never met her. That's a true fan. That's how he do. They'll buy anything you do. They'll show up anywhere you go. Like,
wow,
a true fan's a big deal. Like, I'm a fan of a lot of people. I'm a fan of Taylor Swift. Never been to her concert. Am I a true fan? Do you know what I mean? That's saying a lot. So I know I do not have 1,000 true fans.
All right, we're going to work together. I don't know what it's going to be. I did not realize how funny you were. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I realized how funny you were.
Well, hey, listen. Are you going to get a plane ticket to go see anybody? Not bad. I'm not doing that. Very few. Listen, I won't say that. There are very few people I'll get on a plane for to go see.
Who you don't know. I love this girl so much. So yeah. I mean,
it's a contrived relationship between yourself and your fan.
Yeah.
Not contrived, but like even with movie stars, right? That's where I work. That's
Yeah.
not a movie star. Or television, people project themselves onto Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
onto Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Horrible human being in so many ways, and a wonderful human being in so many ways, mostly a dick. And so it's wild to me. You're going to get on the plane and you don't really even know who the hell I am. Okay.
Yeah.
But that is the true fan thing. Would you like to talk to Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, I will make that happen.
Oh my God, sorry, my heart just like leapt. I
You
would
like
love
Kevin
it.
that much?
What?
You like
Well, it's that he would do so much for my podcast in terms of like the originator of that concept, which I've spoken about over and over again.
right on.
It means a lot.
Okay, no, I would love to. You had Chris Voss on, and I ran into Chris at a restaurant in Beverly Hills about 4 years ago, and he was with his girlfriend, and we talked. And he was a really nice guy, really friendly. Yeah, really friendly guy. And I don't know. At some point, I got the feeling he thought I was trying to come on to his girlfriend, and the whole thing shifted. I'm like, oh,
really?
There's the FBI agent. Yeah, and again, I could be totally wrong.
We've got a different girlfriend now, so
I know.
So it all worked out.
It all worked out. Yeah, I'd love to talk to Chris just because I think Chris is brilliant in his approach to negotiating.
Absolutely. The way it was, I know him pretty well. And the challenge I had, not because he's not lovely, but just because he's so busy, getting him to actually say yes and show up was monumental. But he is the best guy, and I'm happy to ask.
Great. I love it. Listen, I've been trying to get Whoopi Goldberg to do the podcast since I started it. And it's been challenging because, Whoopi's slightly busy, and I get it. And I'm persistent and try, and I don't know, I may or may not have upset the president of her company. I don't know. Tom, if you did get offended, forgive me. So sorry. Didn't mean anything by it. But Whoopi will do the show at some point, or she won't do it at some point. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you we touched on this really briefly in Inner Circle. Do you have a hard out at 30 minutes, my friend?
There's someone I'm supposed to call a banker person before
they can wait. Criminals can always wait. Yes, I said it. White collar criminals can always wait.
God, the bank has me so mad today. You don't even know.
I do know. I'm so sorry for all women for what has happened with the Supreme Court's ruling. It's my wife has been raging. She's been, my wife grew up in the seat of the civil rights movement, right? Like my father-in-law and Uncle Martin started the movement. She grew up in Kumbaya land. Nonviolence is not just an idea. She lives that. And she got so angry with this overturning of Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
I'm not going to repeat it out loud, but I've never heard her talk like that. Ever.
Did you say your father-in-law started?
He did, yes. Ralph David Abernathy. Yeah, Reverend Dr. Ralph David Abernathy, and my mother-in-law, who was my hero. Reverend's my hero too, but I just didn't get a chance to meet him. And my mother-in-law was Dr. Juanita Jones Abernathy.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were best friends with the Kings, and that's they started the movement. Look, you can't say they started. The movement's always been happening. I could go back to W.E.B. Du Bois. I could go back into the Underground Railroad. I could go back into the beginning of the slave trade. So, but the modern American civil rights movement, that was Reverend and Uncle Martin. And I feel like a colossal douchebag calling me Uncle Martin.
Yeah, I thought you were kidding, but you shouldn't feel like a douchebag.
I'm not kidding, and I don't really. I kind of do.
Yeah,
I kind of do, but Bernice, Marty, Dexter, and my entire my in-laws all promised me that not only would Uncle Martin loved me, and we've been best friends. Same with Reverend. I'm like, okay, well, I think you guys are just being nice, but thank you, bless your hearts. So anyway, you got involved with marketing with Joe Polish.
Yes.
Joe, Joe's background?
With the dead broke carpet cleaner with the ponytail? Yeah.
With a ponytail? Amazing.
Yeah.
I found out about, so may I just share a little story? Because because you've been going and I want to give you a chance here. When I left the cult, I was stone cold broke, bad. And so I went to work with my father and my father and mother about the small print copy shop. I knew nothing about it, but he wanted me to come and do the sales and the marketing. I was like, cool, but you got to get out of the way and you got to only have access to the checkbook. And he begrudgingly was like, yes, okay. And I said, all right. So somehow I fell into Dan Kennedy, right? And Dan Kennedy, I fell into Joe Polish, and so I know Joe's background. And then, of course, Joe has just gone on to just like this whole thing. What is it, the Genius Network? Yeah. And are you a member of that?
Technically, no. But you wouldn't know it from how often I show up there. Joe and I do so many projects together that we've worked on a bunch of books, and I'm involved in a lot of the stuff he does, so I show up.
Right on. There's another guy I'd like to talk to, just because.
And he has a book coming out, so I think he wants to do a lot of stuff. Yeah.
And then this guy would like to talk to Joe about that.
Yes.
One thing that I saw that Joe did that really was concerning to me, and I don't know the background.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. The Harvey Weinstein thing?
Correct. Yeah. What the fuck was he doing around Harvey? And there's a part of me that, I don't know. Speculation. I don't know.
I've never known someone with as big a heart as Joe. Nobody I have ever met. Like literally, this man does not think a bad thought about anybody. It's bizarre. And I think can be to his detriment. And I think he thinks anybody can change and is worth compassion and healing and all of that stuff. So that's what I think that was about.
I figured as much. I know Joe's in recovery. He's been alcoholic and he's been working the program. I know that. And I figured, I don't know, maybe Harvey had a thing, or maybe Joe's just trying to be the best version of himself. And as you said, I've seen that happen many times where it becomes detrimental. The person's just like, everything's great, I trust everybody. It's like, you want to temper that just a little bit. That's a great place to live, but you got to temper it with some pragmatism or you're going to get burned.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I've been fortunate. I've got to see and meet and be friends with a lot of, people in the movement, people in government, senators, Congress people, federal judges and stuff. I've been fortunate to see like the behind the scenes. There's the public face that comes out and smiles and everything else and talks like this. And I did not have sexual relations with that woman. By the way, Bubba did not like me when he saw me. I went to Aunt Coretta's funeral and we were sitting in the front row, and everybody there, just quick side note, everyone at the funeral, and there were probably, I want to say 10,000 people. It was some big super church. It was alternately beautiful and so sad.
Yeah.
I just had surgery and I was on crutches and I'd forgotten my pain medication, and I'm sitting in the front row with my leg hanging out in the aisle, and I had my hair really short and I was clean shaven, and everyone's like, I thought I knew everybody in the FBI. What division do you work in? It's like, it's like, no, that's not me. Anyway, Bubba was sitting on the stage with Jimmy Carter, George Bush, Bubba. Who am I missing out? Who's the other president I'm missing out?
George Bush. Well, both Bushes. Oh, no, he wasn't around yet.
No, he was gone at that time. I don't know. Anyway, there was like 4 or 5 living presidents sitting up on stage, and Bubba just sat there and mad dogged me, just gas-faced for like an hour. And I was like, look, it takes a lot to get me intimidated.
Yeah.
Like, all right, you're starting to intimidate me. And like, do I need to start throwing my hands at you? Yeah, how would that
Really?
work out? Anyway, um, Anna, quick question for you. What's something that really excites you about life in general and about your life specifically?
Great question, because a lot excites me.
I know.
I would say I have an issue with the fact that unless I'm super excited about something, I don't want to do it. So that comes down to reading a book. Uh, I like it, not super excited about it. Gonna stop. Watching a TV series. I like it, not super excited. Um, and it's every aspect of my work and my life. And I think I did actually at Genius Network, Joe had this ADHD expert, Ned Hollowell, speak. And
Mm,
he said, being bored feels like death to you. I don't really, I guess I have ADHD. It's very high functioning. Like
I
it
agree.
doesn't interfere with what I do. However, like I can't sit still. So I find so it doesn't interfere with my work or my relationships. But so I think that's what so it's literally there's nothing in my life that does not excite me. Well, except those things that don't and that feel like death. But like I get really excited to go, like I go on this walk to the Hollywood sign. I want to get really excited to eat. I wait until I'm starving so that I can get really excited about it. Do you do that?
I always wait till I'm starving.
Yeah.
But nowadays I only eat like once a day. Really,
Look
that's it.
at you. I eat a lot more than that.
Look at you. Good for you. You look great. I mean, who the hell knows what? Everybody's got their little something. All right. What's the thing in your life that you're the most proud of?
Mhm. God, as you know, I have that journal that asks, "What are you most proud of today?" You know what I mean? So I do think about
I've
that.
been using your journal
Is
every
that
night.
true? Okay.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, yeah. Let's just stop. But I want to know the answer, and then I'll tell you.
I think what I'm most proud of is that I really have changed dramatically. I think emotionally I was so immature. I don't come from super mature people with a lot of awareness about their own challenges. I'm being serious here.
I know you are, but you're so fucking funny. What am I supposed to do?
I'm trying to be careful. Um, and so
This is how you're not supposed to do an interview. I'm so
I love it. It makes me feel great. Honestly, I didn't stand a chance without 12 step. I didn't stand a chance. I didn't know anything about living. I was both spoiled and screwed up. And I got to this 12
wow.
step program 21 years ago, and I feel like I got reparented and I got new rules for living and I got to become aware of so many things. And I really have changed remarkably. So
Was your first book a transformative experience in that regard for you?
no, not really. I mean, you think your book is
I'm
gonna
sorry,
your
not
life is
yes. I'm sorry, not your first book. Make Your Mess Your Memoir. I always wondered if that happened for you in that or not. Maybe I'm wrong.
there's never been a book that's transformed my life. You know what I mean? And transformation aside from going to rehab and then 5 years ago doing trauma therapy, I've never had a transformative experience that was fast. Everything else is the slow thing where I look back and I go, "Whoa,
I couldn't agree with
look
that.
at that."
Yeah, yeah. That's very honest of you, by the way. Very honest of you. I really appreciate you, having the guts, the courage to say that out loud. Uh, but it's true. I would agree. It's yeah. That's the process. Um, Good on you. I love that. I love that answer. Okay, now back to my interruption.
Yeah.
Just put something out called the Right Method, and it's a
Yeah.
journal, and it's got about 9 questions, 10 questions.
Okay,
Uh,
hold on. It's got 14 questions. I actually have revised it. So I got feedback from you guys and I revised it, but now it's 14 questions. I'm really excited about it. Speaking of things I'm really excited about.
Wait, you're excited about it?
I know,
Here's
but
that.
I made it into a keynote speech.
Good
I
for you.
developing it into a government program. I got all sorts of plans, Dar.
Government program.
Yeah, there's a
Can
lot of
you share
money
anything
there.
about that? Yeah, no, I know there is. Trust me.
So this all started because my friend's I'm just gonna be totally honest. So my friend, who's very savvy, explained to me how much money there was in the government sitting there.
Yes.
And she said, you realize, like, you could develop a class or a program and you just tell them how much you want to charge for it. And
Okay.
they've got the funding, but it's very complicated to get to the right person.
It is.
So she's been guiding me through this. I had to get registered at sam.gov to even be considered a vendor for the government. And then that's how I came up with the right method. I worked backwards. I was like, well, I need a thing. I don't want to teach writing. Well, what about this? This would be great for kids or whatever. And then it's become this whole thing. And I haven't even pitched it to the government, but I'm manifesting it will be a government program, but I haven't figured out what aspect of the government, nor have I sold it to them. Look at you. You're like in shock.
No, I'm not in shock. I know this about you intuitively, that this is how you operate. I'm in my life. I don't look at the specifics of what people are doing. I kind of pull back and I look at the dynamic and principles at play. And there's what people say explicitly, but the most important thing is what's implicit, what's not being said. So I'm not surprised to hear you say that at all. There's a shit ton of money in the government, and we could solve the healthcare problem. We could solve birth. We could the birth problem and parenting, school, the whole thing. That's another conversation for another day. And I digress. Anna wrote this thing. It's called The Right Method, and it's a journaling program, a journaling discipline that I found very helpful. I didn't expect anything out of it.
Yeah.
14 questions. Do it at night just before I go to bed. And the truth of the matter is, when I wait till I'm hungry to eat. I wait till I'm like, okay, fuck, I'm gonna go to sleep, right? And I go to bed and I'm like, oh fuck, I got to do this. I promised myself I'd do this. That's how I am. Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
I sit down and I go through it, and I'll be damned. It's been a really welcome, pleasant surprise in my life. I'm day 56, 57, or whatever it is. I don't know, but I'm serious. I do it.
That's amazing. I don't do it every night.
See how you are? Do you see how you are?
Because if I'm falling asleep, I'm like, I just don't. I do the best I can. But that makes me so happy. Day 56.
Yeah. I'm just like, I have to get another one of these, or I have to create my own.
Well, I'm sending you one since you did that lovely review. As soon as I have the copies, I'm sending them to everybody who did a review, because that was very generous.
Oh yeah, no, I'm happy to. Yeah, I think it's great. Anytime you take your pen or pencil writing implement to paper and start to write, get the stuff out of here onto page, it's always a beneficial thing. And so, yeah, I think it's great. And I think you're smart to do that. You're lucky to have your friend. And I know you got to go talk to the white collar criminal. And I appreciate you. See, I made her laugh. I appreciate you spending time with me. This has been great. I'm happy to reach out to Kevin and whoever else. Maybe even Whoopi, if Whoopi does the show. I don't know. Can't promise anything.
Yeah. And I am happy to reach out to Joe and Chris, but I think Joe's
going to be the easier of the two. I understand.
Chris doesn't
Chris,
text me
Mr.
back.
FBI, I get it.
He
Yeah.
text
It's
me
so
back.
wild. Never had any love for the cops, and now I've got these friends who are, serious cops, like not just patrol guys. Anyway.
Yeah.
One last thing you want to leave this audience with? Who do you love, and who loves you? Yeah.
Wow.
We just did that. That's right.
Who do I love? Well, I love my boyfriend.
Oh.
I love my cat. I love my mom, and I have friends that I love. So not interesting.
what do you talk? That's fantastic. Does your boyfriend have a name? I know
Jim.
your boyfriend. I don't know him. I've never met him. I know him indirectly.
He's been featured on my social media.
Jim, right? Isn't
Jim, yeah.
Yeah, right on. Okay. And I know a lot of people love you. That's not a bad place to be.
It's not. A lot of people love you too, I would imagine. I know.
Maybe.
It's nice to be lovable.
It is very nice to be lovable. I think sometimes if I don't smile, I have a resting bitch face that
Same.
ruins almost every woman. Do you?
Yeah, I thought of a new shirt I want to make. What do you think of this? It's not, I'm not, so God, I thought of it like while I was walking. I'm not glaring, I'm just brainstorming the next chapter. Do you like that?
Cute. Yeah, that's cute. I like that. I do like that. Yeah.
If I can leave the listeners with anything, don't spend a lot of time brainstorming and trying to sell merch because you'll go broke.
Oh,
A lot of time with that.
100% agree with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get your shit done, create that intellectual property, feed your audience, build the audience, and all of that will come organically out of it.
Yeah, maybe you'll sell a couple t-shirts after that.
After that, if you're lucky, a t-shirt business is a losing proposition. Don't do it unless you have a strong audience. Anna.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you all for watching/listening. I'll talk to you soon, Dar.
Absolutely. Thanks.